Okay, welcome back to Ducks Hockey and More. Thanks everybody for tuning back in. And if you're new, don't forget, go down. If you love NHL player content, team content, specifically the Anaheim Ducks, definitely go down, subscribe, and smash that like video or like button. Check out some of the previous videos too for other topics and things. Again, this is a primarily Anaheim Ducks channel, but I talk NHL in general, hockey talk all the time. So, hey, today's going to be all about trade rumors because I love trade rumors. And again, I'll reiterate it again. I don't put a lot of stock into trade rumors, but they're out there. And this is the time of year when things start heating up. Okay. We're in the second half of the season now. The trade deadline, I believe, is March 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So listen, we're almost mid-January, okay? We don't have much time left. Players are going to start getting moved. Things are going to start happening, especially as we get closer and closer to that deadline. Hey, let's just jump right into it. Players on the bubble. All right, so it's January 11th, 2023. It's Wednesday. Here we go, okay? We're going to start off with the Blackhawks, Chicago. It's the end of an era for Chicago, okay? The Tays, Kane days are over. Okay, I mean Duncan Keith is gone. The team and the dynamics of this team are completely gone. They're gone. Okay, it's full rebuild time. And what does that mean for Chicago? That means they need to dump off these long-term contracts. They're going to have to retain some of them. And what I'm talking about are Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. They're big contracts. I don't have those figures in front of me, but I know they're big. And so Chicago's probably going to have to hold on to some of that. Okay, a lot of teams out there are close to the cap. They don't have a lot of space, but they want to add that presence, whatever it may be, a Kane, a Toews, to give them that extra boost going into the playoffs and maybe make a run. So they're going to have to retain a lot of probably at least half of their salary, okay, their cap hit. But I just can't see either one of them, being a Blackhawk next year. The Blackhawks really need to get assets, draft picks, prospects, you name it, for these players. Get what you can for them before you don't get anything at all for them, right? So Toews and Kane, as of right now, really the speculation and the hot team that's looking at Kane, really right now, New York Rangers are leading the race on that one. They seem to be really in on him and potentially trying to get him. Another name on the Blackhawks, Athanasiou, I should say, it potentially could be moved. McCabe on their blue line. Seth Jones, his name is out there, and I know there are teams that would like to get a Seth Jones, but he just signed he's in the first year of his contract that he signed with the Chicago Blackhawks. So I can't see them moving him so soon. I think of Seth Jones, if he's willing to stay and stick it out, they should keep him. Max Domi is also a name that's been out there, but Max Domi has expressed interest in staying with Chicago. His play has been done. He's done well. His numbers are good. He wants to stay. There's no reason why Chicago shouldn't just hold on to him. So there you go. There's Chicago. Kane, like I said, New York is leading the list, but New York Islanders are also in that hunt. Pittsburgh possibly, Boston, and Carolina. So all three playoff-bound teams are interested in Kane. Moving on, St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues are the two big names coming out of St. Louis right now are Ryan O'Reilly and Vladimir Tarasenko, both of which who are currently injured. Of all the players on the Blues to get injured, those two. Okay, Blues are not in a playoff picture right now. That could change, okay, but there's still a lot of time left to climb back in. But if things don't start turning, in the right direction for the Blues, I think O'Reilly and Tarasenko are two names you're probably going to see moved. I just can't see them holding on to those guys and not getting anything for them come the offseason or something like that. I think it's time to move them, especially if they're not going to make the playoffs. So, there you go. Some other names that Blues could potentially move. Binnington, Barbashev, Tomas Greiss also, maybe. So we'll see. A lot of things can happen. These are all just rumors and things and speculation and stuff like that. So moving on from the Blues, the Arizona Coyotes. So listen, since last trade deadline, actually, a year ago, The name coming out of Arizona was Jacob Chikrin. This guy is money. Okay, he's an amazing defenseman. He's young. He's got a lot of upside. He's physical. He's got a lot of offensive upside and potential, and he's showing that right now. His numbers now, he was injured most of the year, so he's only got, 19 games so far that he's played since he came back from injury, but he's got 17 points in 19 games. People, that's almost a point a game for a defenseman. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's really good, and he's young. Okay, he still has a couple years left on his contract, and that cap hit's only $4.6 million. So he's a pretty inexpensive, very high potential and high producing defenseman. I mean, that's a player that every team wants. Okay, including the Arizona Coyotes. I know they want to keep him if they can. Now, he's going to demand a huge pay raise when this contract ends, no matter where he's playing. He will get a big payday. Okay, so the team that goes ahead and tries to acquire him, he finishes out his contract with them, and then they have to decide if they're going to hold on to him and re-up him. I think with the Jacob Chikrin, you have no choice but to, if you're going to go out and get him, keep him, make sure you sign him and make him happy. This guy is somebody you build around. You know, he's a top 2 defenseman, power play. Everything about him is just pure money and goals and points and wins. You know what I mean? This guy is a game changer for sure. He's playing on a Coyote team that's just not good. And as much as they'd like to keep him, Chikrin wants out. He wants to play for a contender. I don't think he wants to be involved with this team. But the asking price, okay, Arizona's got him. They've got him locked in for a couple of years. So the asking price, if somebody wants him, is a couple of first-rounders. And that doesn't mean necessarily a couple of first-round picks. It could be a first-round pick and your last year's first-rounder, or a couple of years ago your first-rounder prospect. So you basically are getting 2 first-rounders. And they're probably going to want a little bit more than that too. So their asking price is big, but it's justified. It really is. It's justified. So some other names on the Coyotes list of players they could potentially move, and they're going to be sellers, guys, okay? All these teams are going to be sellers. The Blues, unless they change things around, they might not be. But Vejmelka, their goalie, who's having a pretty darn good year for such a bottom-feeding team. He's doing really well. He could potentially be moved. I think the Coyotes would be better off keeping him, in my opinion. Gostisbehere is also a name that could be traded as well. So, who knows? They're going to be sellers no matter what. They're going to be looking to retool their team like they've been doing for the last few years. So we'll see what happens in Arizona. But watch for Jacob Chikrin to probably get moved. Here, the biggest name involved team-wise that's in on Chikrin are the LA Kings. The Kings seem to be leading the race for Chikrin. Now, as a Ducks fan, that pains me to the core, okay? Pains me to the core because I don't like the Kings, and I certainly wouldn't want to see a Jacob Chikrin going there. That's a big game changer for them and for a rivalry between the two teams. As a Ducks fan, I don't want to see that. But they seem to be leading the race. Now, the Kings are going to have to give up a lot to get him, but that's a huge addition to the Kings if they end up landing him. So, moving on, Philadelphia Flyers. Okay, so some names that I'm hearing: Hayes, who's had some issues this year with Tortorella, but he's their leading scorer, point getter. Hayes, Van Riemsdyk also, and let's see, Provolov and Konechny. Out of all those, I can't see them parting with Hayes. I really can. Van Riemsdyk, maybe. I think Toronto has been interested in Van Riemsdyk. At least that's what I've heard. The Provorov one is interesting because he's a young defenseman, and I like his upside. That's somebody who I'd want to see the Ducks go out and try to get. Problem is are they going to move one player from a non-playoff team to another non-playoff team? It could happen. You never know. But I would like to see a Provolov on the Ducks blue line. I would like to see a Jacob Chikrin on the Ducks blue line. So, but Provolov is also in that mix. They're in full rebuild, and they're going to have to dump some of these guys and just go full blown and just go after it like the Anaheim Ducks are doing right now. Just go all in and rebuild this team building from your young prospects and, adding those key pieces and veterans as you go. Chuck Fletcher's got a lot of work to do in Philly. Let's see. Next up on the list is Vancouver. So Vancouver's got a bunch of names out there, quite honestly, that could potentially be on the move. Vancouver just doesn't want to go into this rebuild mode. You can see it. Over the years, they should have gone into it. They should have dumped assets and to acquire picks and start rebuilding around a youthful core. They've never really gone that route 100%, and they probably should have. But the biggest name on the list is Bo Horvat. Brock Besser's also been in there. Names like Tyler Myers, JT Miller, but I don't think JT Miller's going anywhere. They just signed him. And they kind of made a mistake, in my opinion, Vancouver did. They should have kept Bo Horvat and re-signed him long-term and let JT Miller go. They didn't, so their fault. Luke Shen, Ethan Bear, who they just got, and Kuzmenko are also potential see-you-laters. And I quite honestly, they need to figure it out. Are they going to do a rebuild or not? Come on, Vancouver, figure it out. Vancouver, figure it out, will you? And are you going to keep Bruce Boudreau, a seasoned veteran coach that has tons of experience, and he's proven himself to be a winning coach in this league? Are you just going to stick with him? I think you should. Figure it out, man. Besser is linked to the Minnesota Wild. I think Besser is actually from Minnesota, so that's kind of interesting there. But Besser's linked to the Wild. I think the Wild are Bill Guerin and the Wild are looking to try to maybe get Besser over there. Help them make a run deep in the playoffs. And then Bo Horvat, their captain, he's gonna command a big haul. Okay, he's having an amazing year, and he's gonna get it. Now, these are the teams that I've heard and that are potentially listed or interested in him in the Bo Horvat sweepstakes. Montreal is one of them. Carolina, interesting because Carolina is dominant. They're good. And they're apparently interested in adding Bo Horvat. Detroit, which would be a huge addition to their rebuild. If Stevie Y lands Bo Horvat, okay, and the Detroit Red Wings are on a playoff team right now, if he can land Bo Horvat, oh man, next year, Detroit. Easily. Playoffs. Boston and Colorado have also expressed interest in trying to land Bo. So there you go. There's the Vancouver Canucks. They've got a lot of players that potentially could get moved. Again, like I said, Tyler Myers is in that, Luke Shen. So, Columbus. Columbus is one of those teams I haven't talked a lot about in the previous videos, but they are definitely sellers. Okay, they've got a couple of unrestricted free agents come the end of the season. One of which is Gustav Nyquist, and the other one is Vladislav Gavrikov. Okay, a defenseman. So, look, a lot of teams in need of a good defenseman, Edmonton being one of them. I know there's a lot of other teams interested. Toronto needs to provide better defense for the offense and the goalie if they're going to make a deep run. I think they've done much better as of late. The goaltending has gotten much better as of late, and that's why they're in the position they're in. Beginning of the year looked pretty rough for Toronto. Now things look like, here we go again. They're going into the playoffs, but they've got to get past that first round. They're going to have to add some good D, I think, on that blue line. I really do. And that's going to help Toronto big time, especially when you've got Boston to go through, okay, and Carolina to go through. So those are the two guys out of Columbus that are up for possibly be playing for new teams, Nyquist and Gavrikov. We'll see what happens with those guys. They're still in full rebuild. They have to be. They signed Gaudreau, and I know they have Patrick Laine re-signed for a couple more years. So they've got some offensive upside. They just need to keep adding those key pieces, and then maybe they'll make a name for themselves again. For a while there, they were doing okay when the Rick Nash days, if you remember those days. But things have kind of gone south for them. Anaheim Ducks, okay? Anaheim Ducks, the team that this channel primarily focuses on. A couple of new names that I wanted to touch on that I don't want to see go, but could potentially go. I'm hearing and reading things that are a little bit concerning, but Cam Fowler, our defenseman, our top pairing defenseman, our longest tenured defenseman. We drafted him way back when, I think it was 2010. He was 18 years old, and he was playing for the Ducks at 18. This kid is now 30, I believe. I can't say enough about Cam Fowler. He's one of my favorite players on the Anaheim Ducks. He settles the play down. He's a good puck moving defenseman. He was under the tutelage of who else but Scotty Niedermayer, one of the best defensemen ever to play the game. He learned from one of the best. And that's why Cam Fowler's so good, and that's why I would hate to see him go. He's got a couple years left on a contract that he signed with the Ducks a few years back. And it carries a pretty hefty price tag. I forget what it was exactly, but either way, Anaheim might have to, if they pull the trigger and move him, Anaheim's probably going to have to retain a little bit of his cap hit, in which they have the room. That's not a big deal. But man, I'd hate to see him go, but his name is out there. Edmonton needs a defenseman. Maybe that's it. John Klingberg is linked to Edmonton as well, also an Anaheim Duck. So John Klingberg and Cam Fowler, two potential defensemen that might be leaving the Ducks. Klingberg we kind of knew about. Cam Fowler, I don't know. I didn't expect that. But anyways, John Gibson's the other name that's surprising. John Gibson, our number one goalie. He wants to win. He deserves to win. He stood on his head. He's an elite goaltender, and he's right there in the middle of his prime right now. He's getting closer and closer to when goalies start to kind of fade and decline. But he's got a lot of years left in him still. The Ducks would get a huge haul for this guy, okay? He's that good. And a team that needs a solidified number one to make consistent playoff runs and whatnot could really use a John Gibson, and the Ducks are going to get a big return for John if they decide to move him. So as much as I'd hate to see him go, he might. I think maybe John would like to move closer to home. He's from Pittsburgh originally. Maybe he wants to go back to Pittsburgh. Maybe he wants to go to Philly. Maybe he wants to go to New Jersey, where the up and coming, I should say, New Jersey Devils that are just surprising everybody right now. So who knows? We'll see. John Gibson might be on the move too. Shattenkirk is going to be moved. I know he'll be moved. Edmonton, maybe Colorado, who's looking. Colorado's got a lot of injuries. They might be looking to add Shattenkirk on their blue line to help bolster that going into the playoffs. Edmonton, of course, is interested in adding a veteran defenseman as well. So Klingberg, we just talked about. He's definitely going somewhere. Edmonton. Who knows who else? Maybe Toronto. Some other names that I've talked about in previous videos, and you should go watch those things when it comes to Ducks players I think that are going to be moved. But Henrique, Silverberg, Max Comtois, Max Jones, just to name a few. Derek Grant's in there as well. Potential guys that we won't see next year on the Anaheim Ducks, and they might be moved to contenders that need some veteran presence. And all those teams. In fact, no, I shouldn't say all those players. Henrique and Silverberg and Derek Grant. Those three specifically are long tenured NHL players that have a lot of experience. They're not big point producers, but they bring that added depth to your third or fourth line that help you get over the hump in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. So another name, one more quick, and then we're done talking. Players that might be moved. The last one, Joel Edmondson in Montreal. He's been linked to Edmonton. It sounds like he's probably going to get moved. Based on everything I'm seeing and hearing, Montreal is going to move on from him and try to get something in return, of course. But it seems to be maybe Edmonton top runner for an Edmondson, but I don't know. It just kind of depends on what Edmonton's willing, the package deal. What are they really looking for? And what are they willing to give up to get it? So Edmonton's definitely going to pull the trigger on a defenseman at some point before the deadline. You watch. So there you go. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I love talking player trades, rumors, all that stuff. It's exciting. It's fun. I don't put a lot of stock into it because I'd say 90% of the time it doesn't even come true. So, but it's fun to talk about. So hey, go down, subscribe. Smash the like button on this video, okay? Check out my playlist on other trade, trade rumors and that kind of thing, okay? I've got a lot of that. I love talking about it. So, but go down, subscribe to the channel. Let's get this channel and blow it up. Spread the word. Let's go and spread Ducks hockey more to everywhere. Thanks for watching again. Love you guys. Keep your comments down below. I want to hear all your comments and what you think of what I just talked about. Do you agree? Do you disagree? players that you'd like to see moved, gone somewhere else to your team, whichever team that might be. If you're a Ducks fan, what kind of players would you like to see? Leave them down there. I always respond to them. Hey, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. See you next time, guys.